Profits Plus Seminars presents Repeat and Referral Customers, How to Keep Customers Coming Back.
Hi, this is tomshay, and we're here today to discuss the aspect of repeat and referral customers. For those of you who read our monthly free newsletter, the e-retailer, you'll remember that last summer I was out on a hunt trying to find a new sport coat. I was trying to find a Madras plaid sport coat, and I guess you have to be a certain age to remember what Madras looked like because it was a fabric design that was very popular back in the 1960s. And in the newsletter, I told you what a challenge I had in trying to find the Madras plaid sport coat, and the number of stores that I walked into and salespeople were saying, we don't carry Madras brand clothing, we carry, and then they began to name all the brands of clothing they carried, and they had to have it explained to them by either me or their fellow salespeople that Madras plaid was actually something of a fabric pattern. Well, those of you who read the newsletter were kind enough to send me notes and suggestions and say, here's where you can find the coat. And well, sure enough, here in the mail, we've got it. We've got this thing solved. Here's my new Madras plaid sport coat. But getting the new sport coat in serves to show another lesson. For I was in a store, picked it out, had it fitted, had to have little alterations done to it, and because I didn't live in the town where I had found the sport coat, they had to mail it to me. Well, the sport coat comes in the mail today, and the fittings went fine. The alterations went fine, but there's just one little kind of detail that we left out, which leads me to what we're going to talk about today. For you see, when clothing comes from the manufacturer, the pockets are sewn shut, and when you raise the flaps, the pockets are sewn shut, and when you get to the back on a men's sport coat, right down here, the little flap area, is sewn closed so that it stays nice and neat when it's on a hanger in a store. When a store does it right, the idea is with the alterations people is that they will take all that off for you. When they don't, it comes to you like this, and you've still got all these things on it, and hopefully you wear clothing of this type enough that you know that to go and take care of the detail that they didn't take care of. The experience comes from a situation years ago when I was working in a clothing store when I was in school, and I can remember a gentleman walking into the store one evening. He had just bought a brand new seersucker suit, and it was made out of that new fancy material that had just come out in the 1970s called double knit. Well, he went into the fine men's clothing store, and what they had failed to do upon completing the alterations was the tag that appears on the back of the sleeve that tells you the size of the pants and the size of the coat and the makeup of the fabric and the make and model of the coat and all these other details. They had failed to take it off in alterations. Kind of like forgetting to open up the pockets for a customer. Well, he saw that, noticed that the alterations had failed, and so he just grabbed the tag and ripped it right off of there. Well, unfortunately with double knit, you just don't rip it off, and what happened was the threads all the way up the sleeve were ripped out through it, and you could see very clearly that this brand new suit had an odd striping by missing threads in 4 places down the side. Well, what really angered him was the fact that the people in the store made the comment of him, well, sir, you screwed it up, we didn't screw it up, and that's kind of your problem. And he came down to the store I worked in, which was all of 3 doors away, and he was telling us the story of what happened in the men's clothing store. We were fortunate to have a person who did alterations, who knew how double knit was made, and had the patience and the talent to know how to reweave it. And so we sent the jacket over to our alterations person, who did a beautiful job of reweaving it up through there, and when the coat came back, it looked as good as new. Now, that story comes back from somewhere in the early 1970s, and at that point in time, paying for the alterations, which we probably paid the seamstress $8 to $10 to do it, we did not charge the customer for it. And he was, oh, how much do I owe you? No, sir, it's nothing, we're glad to take care of it. Well, what happens at this point? He begins to badmouth where he's been, and now he's going to come and be one of our customers. He's going to praise us. He's going to take and give us referrals, and then he's going to come back and be our customer. So he'll, oddly enough, give referrals, then he'll be a customer, and then we'll get repeat business out of him. all for a great investment of $8. But back to the idea of the pockets and the tail here and the tags that are on the coat. If our businesses want repeat and referral customers, then we have an obligation to do several things. One is that we have to earn the repeat business. And secondly, if we want the referrals, then we have to educate the customer to be smart enough so that their friends and neighbors, their co-workers, think of them as being sharp enough that they would value that person's referral. For example, I've had occasions to go to a number of weddings, and I always watch the men's clothing. You can tell it's just their nature of people who are not used to putting on coats and ties. To some degree, they look like a duck out of water, particularly because you know they've gone to a men's clothing store somewhere and have bought this new suit. Only when they come out, across the front on the sleeve, on the left sleeve, there's usually a little tag that's put on there. It's a little piece of fabric, and it tells you what the material is that the coat's made out of. Okay, it's not the name brand of who made the suit. It's not the name of it. It's a tag that's supposed to stay on there. It's a tag that's supposed to come off. And yet I went to a wedding and watched a man who was proudly wearing it like it was a badge of honor. Well, can you imagine the people who knew how to wear a suit that would say to this man, "Where did you buy the suit?" Not because they wanted to go there. It's because they wanted to avoid the place, because they could tell that the store did not know how to take care of details. Or when you see people coming in a suit or a rented tuxedo, and the coat is down here to their knuckles, and the pants are all wadded up at the bottom because the hems haven't been done and the sleeves haven't been altered right. And again, the same thing happens. People will say to them, "Where did you buy the suit?" or "Where did you rent the tuxedos?" Trust me, it's not because they're looking to take and get a referral. They're trying to learn who to stay away from, because obviously there's a place that does not know how to take care of the customer. And I've experienced it myself before. Walked into businesses, tried on something, and known right off the bat that the fit wasn't right. And the salesperson, "Oh, that looks great on you." Now the salesperson may think they're saving time and they're saving money for alterations. What they're doing is failing to make a long-term investment in their customer. See, if you want repeat customers and if you want referral customers, you've got to do something to make the customer look sharp. You need to help the customer understand what the right sleeve length is, what the right length is on the pants are, to make them look as sharp as possible. And the same thing goes that when you send them out into the world and you're looking for referrals, you want the person to look so sharp that their neighbors and friends and co-workers, people who see them at weddings and church and other events, look at the person and says, "Wow, you look great. Where did you get that fitted?" Now this is not just for those of us who go out and buy Madras plaid sport coats. This is for all kinds of people in all kinds of business. It could be the person who repairs your car. It could be the person who sells you anything that you could possibly think of. The moral of the story, if you want repeat customers, you got to do your best to make them look the best and buy the best. The best that's for them, that is. And if you want referrals, it's your obligation to educate the customer. And when you have a smart customer, then their opinion matters to their friends and co-workers. And then you're going to get referrals. But if you don't, then you're going to be stuck with something like a pocket that's not sewn or labels not on. And then you're going to have someone like me tell you, "Well, let me tell you where I bought it. I bought it at," and I bet you thought I was going to tell you. Now, I'm going to take the time to go back and give them a chance to solve it and understand how to do it right. That's our time together for today. Be sure to see all of our other collection of topics that we share with you on YouTube, and you can get to them by way of our website, which is profitsplus.org. See you next time.
Visit us at www.profitsplus.org.